Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. If you are looking for life, relationship, or business coaching, please go to my other channel, Golden Opportunities Coaching, and we can set something up. But in the meantime, if you are interested in this episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which is the February 29th, 1992 edition, you come to the right place. We're going to have the entire Smoky Mountain run, including bigger shows here. Then we'll move on to another territory. We've already got Mid-South, predominantly Superstars Wrestling, Wrestling Challenge, World Class, tons of cool stuff. Over 1,100 audios for you to check out in any event. But we'll get into the meat of things here. Obviously, Smoky Mountain Wrestling starting in late 1991, beginning TV almost at the beginning of 1992. Dutch Mantell and Bob Caudle. Caudle is really underrated as an announcer. I love Bob Caudle, and every time I go back and watch this territory, which is my favorite, one of my favorites of all time, easily top three, I'm reminded how good Caudle really is. Of course, he came from the NWA, so not a big surprise there. Barry Horowitz and Danny Davis, Nitro Danny Davis, is here. Danny Davis, not to be confused with the WWF version, is the Southern version, who later becomes the trainer and co-owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling for several years. Matter of fact, without Danny Davis, I don't think there'd be an Ohio Valley Wrestling, and all the talent that came out of there would have had to come from somewhere else, which is kind of scary when you think about it. Danny, a major contributor. Smaller guy. Facing off against Barry Horowitz. Horowitz, a guy who certainly is underrated. Journeyman wrestler. Did a lot of enhancement talent work for the WWF, starting in about 1986-87 or so. But gets a bit of a run here and in Global. He uses a lot of mat wrestling tactics, but then also does more heel-related stuff. Punches, kicks, pulls Davis by the back of the head and that. This match is kind of a showcase for Horowitz, who most people by this point, probably 92, had only seen him in his enhancement stuff, unless you happen to live, for example, in Florida, where he did get a bit of a run. He was in Global for a little while as well. But, I mean, he even hits an inverted DDT here for a near fall and goes to the top rope and just does things that you wouldn't expect a Barry Horowitz to do. Barry was a guy who, especially the pat on the back gimmick, always to me struck me as a guy who never really got his just due. He misses the top rope leg drop here, which was fun. Danny Davis, really, really small, probably the smallest guy not the smallest guy you're ever going to see, certainly not with today's standards, but small by 1992, even 80s and 90s standards, certainly one of the smaller guys, manages a roll-up, gets a win there. Jimmy Golden, who was a standout in Tennessee and places like Southeastern, Alabama territory, he's here, he's kind of talking about wanting to get even and kind of build for the future. That Golden family, and the Fullers and the Goldens, that whole area, such a major part of Tennessee and a major deal there. They kind of do a videotape review of last week's events, which if you want those, obviously catch up with us. But they do several minutes of a review of the Fantastics alongside the Russians. Carl Stiles is a man managed now by Dutch Mantell. Mantell doesn't have necessarily a manager's license. The Fantastics post, which is Bobby and Jackie Fulton, not the Fantastics of Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton, which was there before, which is what threw me off because I had forgotten that Jackie was part of the business as well. My apologies to him. But anyway, in any event, I mean, they're looking for a six-man partner when they come back. Golden and the Russians wanting to be involved. Bob Armstrong has already been placed as the commissioner. Such a major storyline over the 3 to 4 year, TV starts in 92, they're out of business by the end of 95. So, 92, 93, 94, 95, about 4 years TV run. Bob Armstrong, probably one of the biggest people in the area in that way. And he is, reading Dutch Mantell the riot act, basically telling him that if he can get in the ring, he's got to do business with one primetime Brian Lee. Brian Lee being positioned to be a major force here. They're building him up like $1,000,000. Styles is out. Not Tony Anthony, Ron Wright manages to read a letter from a local fan who's willing to donate to his causes and support him because he's in a wheelchair. I love the wheelchair gimmick, partially because I'm in one, but also partially because the heel heat Ron Wright got with a generation of people that, unless they were from that area, didn't know who he was. And the fact that he's worried about flu season, he's worried about needing surgery, he's worried about finding someone to manage. He's just a classic Southern heel. If you've never seen Ron Wright as a manager before, because I don't think there's a great abundance of his wrestling stuff available, worth going out of your way to see. Now, we see Hollywood Bob Holly. Now, Bob Holly later becomes Hardcore Holly, becomes Bob Sparkplug Holly, Thurman Sparky Plug. All these are names held by Bob Holly, but here he is Hollywood Bob Holly, basically supposedly being a Hollywood-connected person who faces off here against Tommy Angel in hot pink tights. Holly shows great athleticism. He's a good heel, although the Hollywood thing really doesn't work. Ron Wright makes his way to ringside, cheering on Bob Holly. Wright is easily established as a top heel in the area just by interjecting himself into any match with a major heel on the card, even by being present. Over the next couple of weeks, we find out who his charge is, but at this point, certainly, even being, but is he considering Bob Holly? Is he considering Tommy Angel? Angel, who never really gets more than a cup of coffee in the national promotions, and does some good, fireman's carry type stuff, takeovers, backdrops, and the like. Has a good body on him, but I don't know that he ever had the charisma necessary to go far, at least not something I've seen here. Of course, this is my first run through Smoky Mountain in at least 10 to 15 years. And yes, I have seen the whole run before, but being able to go through it episodically and break it down like this is a super exciting project for me. So, thanks for coming along for the ride. Big vertical suplex, bringing Angel back in, and then Holly goes top rope, launches with a missile dropkick that looks really good, almost a Japanese-style dropkick there. 1, 2, 3, gets a victory, and Bob Holly, Hollywood Bob Holly, in good shape there. Then we go to another short interview with Paul Orndorff. He acknowledges other territories. He acknowledges Mid-South, the North American Championship, Southeastern, and all the championships he's won around the world, and says that he is frustrated that the pile driver has been banned. It's implied here for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship Tournament. Then we go to another promo, this time with Brian Lee. Brian Lee basically says he wants his hand on Dutch Mantell under any circumstances. Mantell is supposed to be wrestling here, but doesn't end up doing so because he claims to be sick. Lee basically says the next time Armstrong had said earlier that the next time he gets in the ring, that he's fair game for Brian Lee, he being Dutch Mantell. So Mantell did not want to get in the ring because he would have had to confront Lee here today. Reno, Riggins, and Carl Styles are here. Reno Riggins, a guy who does a lot of enhancement work for WWF at the time. Carl Styles, not a guy I know a lot about. I assume Southern talent who kind of had gone around the horn a bit. Never really does much. I don't even think he's there that much because I don't remember him being a major force in the area. Lots of brawling tactics and attempted a power slam, shoulder breaker, and the like. Styles hits that. Dutch is obviously biased on commentary. I think Dutch Mantell is better than anyone on commentary for the major companies today outside of maybe Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross. So, I mean, Dutch Mantell honestly being wasted. Styles gets a victory. Primetime Brian Lee comes out, challenges Styles to fight, and challenges Dutch to fight. Obviously, a babyface in that nature, and you know, nothing there. Dutch begging off because of his sickness. Then we see a rare singles match from one of the most historically valuable people in professional wrestling. From I don't know what, 5 years before, maybe 4 or 5 years before, and that is Robert Gibson, one half of the Rock and Roll Express. Rock and Rolls are not in yet, although I think they are in within the next couple of months for the tag team title tournament. But Jimmy Golden and Robert Gibson, one half of the Rock and Roll Express, are your main event for today. Basic wrestling, but here's the thing: they get time out of things like an armbar. They get time out of kind of the rowboat armbar. They get time out of head scissors and the like. And I think it says a lot that even now, if you went to certain areas in the country, you went to the Carolinas, you went to Tennessee, you could get by with guys grabbing holds. I think the predominance of the goofy, high-flying stuff that we see now that doesn't look like real fighting has proliferated the entire country, yes, but I still think there's small towns where people want to see it look like the old school fighting they came up with. Short jabs and stuff by Golden. Nobody gets hurt in these matches, which to me matters more than anything. Anyway, Gibson kind of spins him around, atomic drop. Gibson gets a pretty good advantage here for the mid part little while. The Russians run in, and then we see the locker room save Robert Gibson. Russians run in after the match has been completed, and you kind of have the Russians and Jimmy Golden kind of working together, continuing building heel stables. You got to remember, this is TV number 5. He's still establishing heels, but he's doing it in such a way where the ending of, the Russians and Jimmy Golden coming together, you want to see what happens next week, and I don't think characters are done in that way at this particular juncture. In any event, that will close us for today. We'll be back with more right after this.